What's up, everyone? My name's Chris Marshall with my boy Frank G. We are the hosts of Build Your Empire podcast. Frank G, tell the people what we do.
What's going on, everybody? Chris and I, we discuss established empires while showcasing us building ours.
Frank G, first off, it's good to have you back, my man. Missed you,
Good to
buddy.
be back. Good to be back.
2021. I hope this year is prosperous for you and the fam. It's great to have you back. On top of having you, we have another guest who typically comes on when he feels like it on every Monday of every month. And Ankit, man, what's good?
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Okay, good to have you back, bud.
Happy to be back.
Ankit, you have me ecstatic. Not only did you make it on your special day appearance, but you came through with like some tips and some blogs.
Very well prepared.
Very well prepared. I've never seen anyone come on the show this prepared.
It's 2021, man. We got to make it count, right? Make it count.
That's what I'm saying. It's about time you put some work in.
Well, you know, how many times have you been on the show now? 4?
This is probably the 4th time, I think. 3rd or probably 4th or 5th. Yeah.
Glad to see you're prepared.
Yeah, 4th or 5th.
So now for anyone who's listening, it's nitneyfinance.com, I believe, right, Ankit?
Yeah, that's NITTANY finance.com, FINACE.
And he just published an article, Top 10 Investing Tips, which we'll get into. Ankit, I didn't know that Nittany was essentially your college.
Yeah, Nittany. It's not essentially my college. The Nittany Lion is the mascot of Penn State. And so when I was looking for a
interesting, right, Frank?
Yeah.
You would think that he would explain that initially when he said he had a blog called Nittany Finance.
Did you go to this college?
I did, man. I did. I'm a
Okay.
Penn Stater. Yeah.
Wow, all right,
He
that
was
makes
boys
sense.
with Jerry Sandy.
No, I started the year. It was that summer. That summer we found out about Sandusky, and then I had to go to Penn State like 2 or 3 months later, which was insane.
That was not the prime time to go to Penn State.
Not the prime time. No.
Clearly, you learned how to invest, which now we can teach our listeners. NitneyFinance.com. Look up the article we're about to get into. Now, Ankit, we had this discussion off air, and it's funny because Robinhood saw a significantly increase of new users, right? People downloading the app and beginning to invest. I would say majority of those are millennials and Gen Zs, right?
Yeah. I think, especially when it comes to Robinhood itself, a lot of the people who are going to be using that are a little bit more tech savvy. They're going to be younger. So I would say that sounds right.
It's important for listeners to understand who are coming to us for almost education and advice that even what we say should not be taken, I want to say, too literal, right? Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah. The biggest part of investing, one of the biggest parts of investing is something called conviction, right? It's just truly believing in what you're doing, having conviction behind your actions. And so when you take someone else's advice, just understand, or when you're listening to someone else and you're getting your ideas from there, just understand that that's from their point of view. That doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. Could be totally wrong. They could be totally off the ball. And so it's always important to come up with your own ideas. Don't just listen to someone else. Think about it, come up with your own idea, your own thesis, and then work it out. See if that's something you want to pursue.
Which, I mean, you can even look at crypto right now, Bitcoin, and the mass hysteria it creates on, just the uprising where individuals want to immediately place money in it. They don't have enough money to invest and diversify and take risk. They just get on the hype, which then causes them to lose money.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of investing is you're going to get tips from other people. You're going to hear, this is the latest stock pick and how other people have made a ton of money. Keep in mind that usually by the time you're hearing that, there's already been a big move in the stock, right? Normally, if someone's telling you, hey, check out this company, it's supposed to be doing great, it's probably they probably noticed it because they either bought in early and had that large gain, or um, you know, they heard from someone else that there's going to be a large gain in that stock.
I tell you, my boy Frank G, I learned a lot about him the last month or so. And
What, Fubo TV?
hindsight frustrates the hell out of this kid.
Oh, are we talking about Bitcoin here or?
No, in general, just anything in hindsight. You're saying
Well,
how this year everything skyrocketed, people make money, you wish you put more money in things, and
I would think that's majority of people getting into the market, but yeah, I mean, I wish I was in Bitcoin a long time ago.
shit.
Every
if you just
time you
got in when I told you to, I said it like 2 weeks ago, you would have made $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not 100% understand, Bitcoin, so I wouldn't be able to put in a large sum of money. But it's already, what is that, 34,000?
It was currently at 31. Ankit, we listen to Mushy God, aka James, when it comes to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made me some monies. He made me some monies. But Ankit, going back to your recently published article on your blog here at nittyfinance.com. I mean, your main rule, number one, makes the most sense. It makes the most money, and that's invest early.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really in my opinion, it's the biggest differentiator between making some serious money in the market and then just doing pretty well in general. It's the more time you have. When you have time in the market and a longer time horizon, you can take advantage of what's called compounding, right? Which is basically earning money on money that you've earned in the past. And so what you see is that over the course of time, even if you were to invest really heavily, by the age of 40 and then take your money out by 65, you would have been better off investing smaller sums more frequently, starting younger. And this is something that's been proven time and time again, where, the earlier you start, truly is the earlier you start, the better. Regardless of the amount of money you have, at least just get started with something. And I think that's the number one piece of advice is get your foot in the door as soon as you can.
Well, because when you start early, and when you say early, I mean, I don't know, maybe 2019, these people probably don't have a ton of capital. So what is your advice to them is to what? Put in slowly, small amounts?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say early is almost 25 too.
Yeah, early, it's early is a relative term. The real thing you want to do is first off build an emergency fund. If you go to tip number 3 in the article, you'll see that's actually there. So an emergency fund is something I would build prior to investing any money, right? As long as you're not dependent on someone. If you're dependent on your father, you have parents, your mother and father, you have parents who are supporting you, then you can necessarily, maybe skip this step or just go on a little bit. If you're supporting yourself, then you are going to want to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses put aside in savings prior to investing new money that comes forward. And the reason is you never know. I mean, coronavirus has taught us, right? Like, you really never know what's going to happen, whether it's going to be a health issue, a pandemic, whatever it is. You want to be prepared for that. And you can lose money in the market. So you're really going to want to put away at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses that will make you feel comfortable.
It's scary to think that there may be people who don't have 3 to 6 months of emergency funds.
That's what I was about to say. You have build an emergency fund as your third tip, while automate your savings is second. I think most people could save money by learning how to budget and cut out the fat on their useless spending. They just, in getting a $6 Starbucks coffee, they probably just want to buy it, or they don't want a $4 cup of coffee and save $2. They don't think of it that way.
Yeah. And then, looking at the second tip there, to automate your savings, that can be used to build not only your emergency fund, it can be used to build your, investment portfolio, your brokerage accounts, but it can also just be used to save money, if you have to. Looking at, kind of delving into what I say there, The way I actually like to save my money is on a daily basis, right? You set up an automatic recurring draw from your checking account, and you can put that straight into savings account, a brokerage account, wherever you want to hold those funds. And it doesn't have to be that much. Let's say you're really not making too much money, things are a little tight, fine, save $5 a day, $3 a day, whatever you can, because at that point it's better to save something as opposed to save nothing and then need those savings down the line. So you're better off at least trying to do whatever you can. Over time, as your income grows, you can start to increase that from $5 to $10 a day, 15, and so on.
In which we use the app Acorns. You showed me that app. Great app. We
Amazing
certainly suggest. And you can also do roundup. So if you are that person who buys a cup of coffee where it's $4.46, you'll end up saving 54 cents, and those add up.
So, and let me ask you, Ankit, because I read it in this article. I don't remember which number it is, but you said one of the strategies could be to take money out and put it into Acorns daily or weekly or monthly, whatever you want to do. So if someone does that, do you think saving up that money in Acorns and then transferring that money and using it yourself on, say, Robinhood is a better tactic than just leaving it in Acorns?
It's not necessarily better or worse. For me personally, I enjoy managing my money, right? I enjoy spending the time to look at investments, thinking about how much you can make, where's the best place to put your money. I enjoy that process. So if you have the time, if you want to be an active investor and you want to do your own research, then absolutely. I would say, take the money. Once you hit a certain threshold in Acorns, whether it's 5,000, 2,000, 3,000, take the money out, put in your own brokerage account and manage it on your own. If you don't want to do that, if you want something that's more automated, I don't see a problem with leaving it in Acorns.
Which works exactly like a 401k, Fidelity. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, Acorns is just going to, they'll invest your money in a diversified portfolio of ETFs. So you'll have your bonds in there.
Which is rule number 5 here on your blog.
Going to rule number 5. We're skipping around. No, but rule number 5, yeah. Or tip number 5.
Oh, you're right. We are skipping 4. But I tell you what, 4.
Well, we went from 1 to 3 to 2 to 5.
Well, it's where the conversation goes and flows. But 4, I don't know. I could argue with 4 not being needed for 4. Simply because me and Frank probably don't know much of 4, and you have it as 4, and we still make monies.
Yeah. So number 4 is about valuation.
All right, we're back to 4, not 5, ladies and gentlemen.
I figured with all that talk about 4, we might as well jump over there. But 4 is about valuation, right? And the question then becomes, how do you know whether what you're buying is expensive or cheap, right? When you're looking at a stock, you really only get one number. Let's say you're looking at Apple. Apple is like $128 today. You can look to the past and say, oh, Apple in the past was trading at 132. Yeah, you can look in hindsight and say Apple is trading at 132. Way back, it was trading at 25 or 40. But that doesn't really tell you whether now is cheap. That just tells you that the price relative to where it was in the past. It tells you whether it's cheaper or more expensive in the past. It doesn't tell you whether it's cheap or expensive moving forward. And so learning the valuation basics, most simple one is your PE ratio, your price to earnings ratio, which basically tells you how much of a multiple of earnings you are paying based off the price of the stock. And then after that, you have a bunch of others, which is like price to sales, price to book ratio, and the PEG is the price of earnings growth.
For any newbies out there, all I care about is that divvy. And if you don't know what that divvy is, you should.
Yeah, but learning how to value stocks, it's maybe something you can push a little bit later on. I highly recommend it, just because you will have more confidence and faith in
I see
yourself.
that. Absolutely.
When it comes to knowing whether you're getting in at a good price or not.
Yeah, I mean, because say I guess Apple. I mean, it's been around the same price point for a little while, but some people might be scared to get into it just because of the price at this point and not knowing its value.
Yeah, not knowing its value, and so definitely something to learn about is the valuation basics.
Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, learn valuation basics.
Yeah,
So
and then,
we have
but
what do we have as 2021 goals for the stock market?
2021 goals. I mean, 2020 was it was probably the most roller coaster year I think the market has ever had. I believe so, with a massive, massive downturn bear market due to the coronavirus, and then a massive, turnaround recovery right after. And so 2021 is going to be very, very interesting because the numbers, where stocks are trading at today, especially you have your e-commerce plays and anything to do with online work from home stocks, all of those are trading, and this kind of goes back to number 4, they're all trading at very high multiples. Technically, they're expensive. These stocks are really expensive right now. And if these companies cannot manage that same level of growth in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to see a lot of those stock prices come down significantly. So this is going to be the year where stocks in 2021, especially those internet e-commerce plays, are going to have to, quote unquote, prove themselves to see if they can maintain that level of growth, which is going to be difficult. And then you have the return of the economy, right? The return of things hopefully opening up. The vaccine came out, so you're going to be looking at travel stocks and things like that.
I would imagine, though, I mean, tech has pretty much been flatlined last couple of months because they almost are foreshadowing the future because it can't continue to go up, especially when the vaccine is fully out, the economy is moving again. It's natural that tech would take a downturn from consumption of technology.
Well, you'd maybe think so on the surface, but the way a lot of people are looking is, are the changes that people made this year in 2020, are they going to stick, right? Like, I know I have not gone to the grocery store in probably a few months. And the reason being is that I just have groceries delivered to me all the time. So is that something that I would continue with moving forward? It's a big question for a lot of these companies, which is a lot of the changes that have happened. Are people going to continue using those same features and products? Are they going to go back to how they used to do it? I would actually bet on people remaining on how they are using a lot of those. I think when you had mentioned that, it might have been referring to travel is going to increase, but when it comes to e-commerce and some of those plays, I still think they'll do pretty well.
Now, are you now ordering groceries because of, let's say you are skeptical on entering the fear? So what if that fear is gone? Now you don't want to get out of your house and go do that yourself. Or you're going to pay the extra $1 to get that delivered?
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Originally,
it was on your ass.
Yeah, originally it was fear.
Unless you want to save, right?
March or April, originally it was fear.
Yeah.
But now it comes back to
comfortability.
This is so convenient. And if I have, as long as you spend more than on Whole Foods, if you spend more than, I think, $35-$40, it's free delivery. And so you're going to likely spend $40 plus. You just plan a little ahead and have groceries.
Yeah, you get your week shopping done.
Yeah, exactly. And so, that's something I probably won't change is going to the grocery store. I prefer to just order it. Or you look at, simple things you order on Amazon all the time.
So, Ankit, trying to be in order, and rule number 5, you have diversification and concentration, which we'll get into, we have gotten into. But I like rule number 6 because if I was to...
that just makes no sense right there. But
you shut your mouth, all right? It's 50% my show. So, anyway, going back to number 6 here. This is my favorite piece of advice to give anyone, and that's invest in what you know, because you have all these novices who just throw money because they're told to, or they're marketed to, or their friend or an article tells them to, but they're putting money in Royal Caribbean as opposed to putting money in Nike, in which that's their whole closet.
Like a long-term kind of thing.
And those are actually 2 stocks where if I was to ask somebody, hey, what do these companies do? They would probably know what they do, right? But let me throw like the Foley Acquisition Corp, right? Do you know what that company does? Probably not. If I was to bring that up to someone, and that is a company that trades.
You named the company right before you said
exactly, right?
Yeah.
Foley Trasimene Acquisition Corp.
He
So
proved his point real good.
Yeah, and so that's the type of thing where, you know, for Royal Caribbean, all these other, you know, those stocks, the big travel stocks, like you probably know those names, but there's going to be a lot of companies where you're going to get tips. People are going to tell you, hey, look, this is the next hottest thing. You should take a look at this. And just make sure you actually know where you're putting your money. Make sure you know what you're doing and what those companies do. What I like to ask myself, first thing I always like to ask myself is, one, how does the company make money? Who are the customers is number two. Number three is, what do they sell? And number four is, where do I see the growth coming for this company? And you should be able to answer those questions very simply, easily, and if you have to, potentially explain it to someone else. And if you know that if you can explain that to someone else, there's a good chance you actually have faith.
So the irony about this part of the conversation and the conversation in general is, if you're listening, we're essentially telling you not to listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea is to learn the game,
It's setting
and then form your own, like, your own thoughts.
Opinion.
Yeah, it's just setting like a base for everyone, really.
Yeah. And so that's really what you want to do, is you should be coming up with your own ideas. You should look at stocks on your own. You should look at companies.
I'll tell you what, though, when I put a bunch of money in weed in 2018, I sure wish some asshole told me don't do that.
Yeah, well, we've listened to another person as well, but we took our money out before anything bad could happen.
Yeah, but something good could happen. I don't know. That's part of the gamble. See, I like to make safe bets and not gamble. So if I listen to someone, hey, buy this, it's going to shoot up next week, that's the same exact thing as putting money on the Chargers.
Yeah, especially since, like, usually that's something you probably haven't heard about, right? The major stocks, unless they have earnings, they don't really jump up 10-20% in a day, you know, but you will have that in these small cap names and micro caps and over the counter.
Unless it was 2020 and you hit a rock bottom in March, and then Disney goes from $80 to $180.
Man, yeah, still salty about that Disney, huh? Fucking guy.
Unless it's 2020, yeah, for real.
But look, Disney is one of those things that make no fucking sense, because there's no way Disney Plus, with the theme parks closed, increased the stock price fucking $80 a share.
Yeah, so Disney Plus is really interesting, because what people are doing is they're saying, okay, well, Netflix has this many subscribers. I don't know what the number is, but Netflix has X number of subscribers, and the company is worth, I don't know where it is at the moment, but let's say $300 billion. Mm-hmm. So then they're saying, okay, well, if Netflix has that many subscribers, worth $300 billion, how many subscribers does Disney have? And how much does that make them worth? And that is really the number people are looking at. Disney is still, I mean, they are going to hurt on a lot of different angles here right now, with the theme parks, cruises.
So real quick, can't Netflix theoretically double up their subscribers overnight by just not allowing to share your password? I know they increased it by $2 a month. But if they just were to take that away, it would force everyone to get Netflix. It's a
little bit more complex than that, right? Like, let's say I'm a family of 4 or 5 and we have 10 different TVs.
Yeah, that's a feature they offer. You pay extra to put it on multiple TVs.
Yeah,
I tried to give that to Chris. I paid $12.99 for Netflix. He could have had one of my accounts. He never even opened
it. Sorry, it's difficult. They wouldn't double their numbers right away.
No, Ankit. He made me a little logo and everything, and I never even saw it.
What do you mean you made your logo for Netflix?
I made him a username with a little picture.
Yeah, he was all happy.
Oh man, that's
never
funny.
even bothered.
I never logged in. I feel bad.
I was trying to get him into the office. He got in on his own ways.
Which, Ankit, I was going to ask you who your favorite character is on The Office, by the way, at the end of this conversation. So it's funny that he said that.
Oh, my favorite character in The Office is Michael, dude, by far.
I agree with you, man.
Michael's the best, man. Hilarious.
I tell you, people who don't watch The Office, I suggest you do.
Well, now you can't watch it on Netflix.
But I don't. Well, it's on Comedy Central for the next 2 days straight.
Yeah, as of December 31st, no longer on Netflix.
Now, Ankit, do you think Michael Scott invests?
Do I think Michael Scott invests?
The character himself.
The character, I would say yes, but I don't think he invests in things. I don't think he invests very well.
He uses emotion. You could tell he uses emotion.
Yeah.
He's all emotion.
Yeah.
He bought a condo just because he didn't want to lose the $7,000 down payment. He's like, damn it, well, take it.
Yeah, so that's Michael Scott for you, I think.
That is funny. Well, I'm glad you like The Office as well. Took me forever to get this guy on.
Shut up. Ankit.
What you got?
Well, you tell us what you got, because a lot of these people don't know about the commission and fees, bro. And you got it here at number 7. So, I mean, discuss commission and fees, because
for sure.
Let me tell you something. I was pissed off when someone told me to buy Coinbase, like the wallet for crypto, and I realized it was like $15 per transaction. Really got me pissed. So you got to educate
still today
on the fee. No, I don't use that anymore. I use Robinhood.
Absolutely. I mean, commissions. So commissions when I first started investing were there all the time. $5 a trade, $7 a trade. Whether you're going into a stock or exiting a stock, they were always there. And so that's actually
that's eliminated now.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. For new entrants into the stock market, it's money that you are technically, saving compared to what you would have had to put in the past. It's basically broken down a barrier to investing. So if anything, it should be easier for people to invest now than it was in the past. If you don't have a broker at the moment that does not charge you commissions, just move over. I would leave them right away. If your broker does charge you commissions, I would leave them right away. Go to E-Trade. You can go to Robinhood, wherever you like. Most of them don't anymore. But besides that, the fees. This is one that's a little bit more subtle. When you invest in an ETF, when you invest in a mutual fund, there are fees that the fund takes out. And that's usually annually. They will take out the funds, they'll take out their fee. And so just be aware that they are taking those out. Try to notice how much it is. It'll be called the expense ratio. And on the blog itself, I have a graphic there, a chart which shows what happens over a long period of time. Even something as much as a 1% fee.
I'm looking at that chart right now on nittyfinance.com.
Yeah, absolutely. So, even something as much as a 0.75% fee over the course of 20 years can add up to, 30 grand in extra expenses. That's extra expenses, right?
You know what me and Frank G says about fees.
What do you guys say about fees?
Fuck them. Fuck fees. We're not trying to pay them, and we don't want none of our listeners trying to pay them.
I'm with you on that. So one thing to look at, when you're looking at your ETFs or your mutual funds, take a peek at the expense ratio. If it's above 0.5% or 0.75%, you could probably get better, and I'd recommend looking elsewhere.
That's great advice right there.
Frank G, we ask Ankit every time he comes on, pick a stock. I mean, last month
I was going to ask him about his last
he picked Uber. And
yeah,
he's like, in 5 years, watch it take off.
I was curious if he was still onto it. If you still think Uber is a good choice.
I'm sure he does. If he thought in 5 years it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do still think Uber. I think Uber is going to have a great year in 2021. I mean, I think that when things start to reopen, concerts, bars, you name it, as the sooner we can get this vaccine out, the better and the faster Uber is going to get a jump start. Because I know personally, a lot of people who have saved money At this point, would you rather take that Uber with a bunch of friends going out, going to the bar? You're going to be drinking. You don't want to drive. Would you rather take that Uber or would you take a subway?
So
I
Uber
think it's
currently is
not
at
that trash.
51.33 all-time high. Let me ask you this, because I know Uber IPO'd relatively early, like about a year ago or so. I think it was about a year and a half ago. How long does it take for a company to register numbers such as the PE ratio here?
Well, so the PE ratio, you only have earnings, right? The PE ratio is price to earnings.
Correct. So how many dollars does it cost to make $1 profit?
Well, how expensive is the stock for every what's the multiple of earnings that you're paying in order to purchase that stock is basically what it's saying. But you'll notice a stock like Uber does not have a PE ratio.
No.
And the reason they don't is because Uber is not profitable. Only companies that are profitable can have a PE ratio, right? So Uber at the moment is not profitable. At least that's what Google is showing. Like, go quarter to quarter and find out when they were profitable if they broke a profit. But that's the reason why it's not showing a PE ratio.
And I guess that ultimately is the reason why you think it'll have such a high reward payout, is because they haven't proven themselves. And if they do, then you are rewarded with the payout.
Yeah, usually companies, especially nowadays, this is very different than how investing was like 30 years ago, but nowadays companies are not as concerned about earnings right away. They're a little bit more concerned as for growing the revenue. And so that's what Uber, when you see a company that is really just running at a loss or doesn't have earnings, that's what they're trying to do. It's just reinvest in the company, grow those revenues, and then eventually it becomes as easy as flipping a switch, charging $2-3 more, and you'll have a lot of revenue or a lot of earnings coming in.
Just waving those edibles around, huh, Chris?
You got something to say to me?
I just did. Do you take one of those already?
I do not take any edibles during podcasting days or recordings because it could make me slow and not on point there, French.
Well, I tell you, Uber has to be super. They have to really believe in themselves to not make any profit and still be up and running.
I tell you, I'll take an Uber to go get edibles.
But to follow up on that for this show, my pick, and I think for a good portion of
look at Ankit, he's even looking at the timer. He's like, oh, the timer's coming down in closing.
I'm a pro now, dude. I'm a pro.
Hey, I'm glad. Last show, people were like, oh, that was a good show. You're like, I didn't bring it. Oh man, I can't wait for the next one.
You did.
This fucking guy's arrogant.
Yeah.
No, but if I had to choose a stock for 2021, I still think I really like Amazon for 2021. I think Amazon is going to absolutely crush it.
Yeah, sure. Tell the people a stock that is pretty much majority of American savings account.
Yeah, no, I mean, you think about it, right? Like Amazon, everyone's purchasing things there, groceries, AWS, the company's growing super fast. They make money. So I think Amazon's great. If you want something else, you want something maybe dollar-wise a little bit cheaper, Google is actually
1,800 over here.
So Google should be poised to do really well because most of their money, or not most, but they make a lot of money off of travel. And with the return of travel, Google should actually do pretty well.
I tell you what, when the return of travel occurs, I am going to be
I can't wait.
All over.
Filming these shows from Cancun? Is that the move?
We thought about it. I think that would actually do tremendous if there was compelling video on this audio behind us. And we certainly meet a lot of people, mainly women, that are fantastic.
I'll second that one.
You mean when you guys are traveling?
Yeah, we just set the vibes and everyone just comes.
Yeah, people appreciate when you have something, whether it's a blog or a podcast or a website, anything. It's amazing to see the reception.
Even kindness when you're in different countries.
Facts.
Yeah. Love
I
me
love
different countries.
Ankit, we hope that you come with us one of these times post COVID and enjoy the greatness. This is why we work so much.
I would love to, man. I would love to be part of the legacy.
Oh my God, right there. Ankit, you got 1 more minute. Do you have anything else you need to say in closing? And everyone else who's listening, go to nitneyfinance.com. You'll see the 10 tips to investing. I suggest you get to it, because if you're not investing, you're probably fucking up in some way. Ankit, the stage is yours.
Yeah, for investing, stick with it, learn about dividends, read the article, and I think that'll set you off on a good path. Good luck in 2021.
Ankit, we appreciate you. We'll see you next month on the next Monday of the next month. Frank G, you got something to say?
Just good to be back and good to have Ankit the first Monday of every month again, man. I'm glad you're proud and happy to be with us.
Good to have you back, buddy. Ankit, you're just whatever. Peace.
We love you guys. Peace.